As many of you guys know, that these packets come out as late as they can so they can include as much as they can, which means that if we're going to have a caucus on them, that caucus has to happen right before the meeting. And if I knew how long that caucus would take, I'd reschedule the caucus. But so, when we have one of these, we're either going to have to caucus by taking recesses or caucus at the beginning. And yesterday I did give people a heads up that that caucus was probably go a little past 1, and it is. And so I didn't lie to you, but some of you weren't even here to hear that. So again, I apologize for that. There are a couple of senators that need to go back to their office now and grab some stuff, and we will start in just a couple of minutes. I'm sure that Senator Birdsell will be here in a moment. We're going to call the Senate Finance Committee meeting to order. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? We have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We are in executive session. All right. Everybody that wants a packet has gotten a packet, right? Okay. Moving to page 1. This is,
Page 1 is the insurance department request. The department is requesting a consumer service offices position that was removed in the governor's proposed budget and was not included in the House budget to be funded. And this is other funds.
so the insurance department is going to pay for this out of the fees that they collect. We have an ought to pass.
Ought to pass.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. 2, 4, 6, 7 to 0. Okay, page 2.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask that we hold this, I have a little bit more work I want to do in this before we go forward.
All right, just let LBA lay the groundwork for it.
All right?
Sure. This is under Department of Labor, page 2, Amendment 2025-211S. This is an amendment to Section 141 that adjusts the workers' comp and second injury fund for claims and denial hearings.
Okay? Any objection to holding that? Seeing none, moving on. Page 4.
Page 4 is for Department of Employment Security's budget, and there were no changes requested from senators or from the department.
Everybody okay with dropping this? Yep. Okay. It is dropped. Page 5.
Page 5 is the New Hampshire Adult Parole Board. They have requested to fund a currently filled secretary position that was unfunded in the governor's phase. This would be $192,830 of general funds over the biennium.
All right, and my comments on that was that I'd have to go find another 192, et cetera, to make up for it if I put it back in. Senator Rosenwald.
Yeah, I was just wondering how many secretaries in total,
They have one.
so they'll have none.
That's correct.
Further discussion?
Like a motion?
Sure.
Move to deny?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to deny it. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Page 6.
Page 6 is for the Office of Consumer Advocate. There were no requests from senators or from the agency.
And the current status in the budget is,
I don't, what do you mean?
oh,
Sorry.
that's all right.
There's
All right,
no additional requests.
no change
No changes, yes.
from the office. All right. Any comments? We're ready, everybody ready to drop it? Okay, it's gone. Page 7.
This is the Public Utilities Commission. There was no changes in the House budget from the governor's budget there was no request from senators or from Public Utility Commission to change on the House budget as passed.
Comments? Everybody ready to go? Have it going? Okay. Let's come on. Page 8.
Page 8 is Banking Department. They had a HB 2 amendment request to amend section 445, which is in reference to the 5% assessment fee on dedicated funds, and they would like their Consumer Credit Administration License Fund to be exempt from that assessment fee.
This one, I'm not in favor of the way they did the 5% and the fees. Someone else is suggesting that we have a list of funds that would be subject to it. I would rather see an administrative fee on ones that aren't used to do other things with. So this one, I would like it on hold to have that further discussion with the rest of the funds that would be out there. Further comments? Seeing none, it is on hold. Page 9.
Page 9 is Pease Development Authority. There were no changes or requests to the House's budget.
Any comments? Everybody ready to see this one off the list? Okay, it's off the list. All right, page 10.
So page 10 is Department of Transportation. The first item on here is a request from the department to reallocate $1.75 million per year within winter maintenance. They would like to shift the money from operations and consumables to the winter employee retention program.
Okay, some people have expressed the opinion that they think that the department thinks it's easier to get one flavor of funds instead of another, but they are still working within their budget. So do I have a motion on this item?
Move to approve. I'll second.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, how often do they come to fiscal and request for more winter maintenance funds?
probably every other month
I
during the
mean,
winter.
we know that a small storm costs $1 million to clean up. And so I'm not going to vote against this, but I just think they're going to be asking for more money in fiscal.
And since you and I will both be on fiscal,
Are we
you know,
going to say
this
no?
winter time, we will have to remember this as we vote on those items. Okay. We have a motion of ought to pass on this one. All those in favor of ought to pass, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, and 8-0. Then we have. Seven. Oh, that's right. Okay,
The next three items are Department of Transportation requested changes to House Bill 2. First is Amendment 2091S, which is relative to penalty and prohibition if you cause, through any sort of hindrance, water to run onto a state highway or road. That statute already exists. This amendment would expand that to also include state-owned railroad. And you may remember when the department came in, they provided a slide with some images of what they're referring to.
the question is on Amendment 2091S. Further discussion?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Number 3.
Next item is Amendment 2090S, which would enable the Department of Transportation to seek reimbursement for costs associated with removing vehicles, campers, and other items, I guess we'll say, from park and ride rest areas. They can seek the reimbursement either through the owner or towing company. This would just give them that enabling legislation.
And I do have a camper in the rest area that in a park and ride that I go by every day right now, so.
Move to approve. I'll second.
We have a move to approve and a second. Further discussion? I don't have a camper.
Well, you could have.
And I think that if I tried to purchase a camper, you know, that although my clothes haven't been out in the driveway in the 54 years, 11 months, and whatever it is that I've been married, all right, further discussion. All those in favor of Amendment 2090S, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. And number 4.
Number 4 was another department request relative to how it handles its encumbrances and task orders. So this is an accounting procedure change requested. I think the committee is still waiting for information from the Department of Administrative Services, so you may want to hold this one until that information comes through.
All right, the department is saying that this is standard procedure. The comptroller says, I'm not sure about that. So unless someone has an objection, that one will be put on hold. Okay? Moving on to 5.
Number 5 is Amendment 2093S, and this is relative to Senate Bill 153, which is relative to expedited permitting for driveways. That bill is currently, it's passed the House and is coming back to the Senate now. What that bill does is provides a mechanism for an expedited process for approval of driveways from the department. It establishes a new $120 fee. That bill, however, did not really state where that fee revenue goes. That bill also established a position at DOT to do these permits. There's a disconnect between the money funding that position, so it's somewhat technical in nature. What this amendment does, 2093S, is directs that revenue received to the highway fund. And then this item 5, we would also add money in House Bill 1 to fund that position that is created by the bill. So this is somewhat of a fix, a technical fix amendment, as that bill just didn't execute, I think, what its true intent was. It is a net zero. The estimate is the revenue coming in would cover the cost of the position.
And that fee is, what, $120 per parcel that they're talking about. So people tell me in a larger development that would mount up fast. I'm kind of skeptical that it will get there, but, you know, that's just the Yankee in me, I guess. Further discussion? We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And further discussion? Motion is to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right. And we're on to page 15.
If you recall, when police standards and training came in, and this goes back to an item that actually came through fiscal a month or so ago, there's some equipment, some training equipment they're looking to purchase. They have the funds available this year. What number 1 here on their recap sheet does is we would appropriate that $250,000 next year in fiscal 26 and assume that the money that's available to them this year would lapse. This would effectively reduce how much is needed from the rainy day fund for the committee to close fiscal year 25. It's a net zero in total when looking at 25 through 27. It's essentially just delaying the acquisition of this equipment.
Okay, so the change from the House is that the lapse would be the deficit would be lower, less will come out of the rainy day fund, but we be put into this budget. Any discussion? I have a motion to approve.
Second.
And the second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right. Now, I'm getting some pushback about doing too much more today. Remember that even though these last couple of meetings have been on the shorter side, that the staff time that it takes to prepare these and get them ready and, you know, is significant. So what I want to do is that list that we did yesterday. Does anybody not have a copy of it with you?
Yep.
Yep.
Corresponding bills.
Yep. Is there anybody that doesn't have it with them?
I do not.
Here's,
Well, I might, actually.
Well, anybody that doesn't have one, all right. So we took care of all of the items that were marked delete in the thing. Is there any bill that's on this list, page 1 or 2, that you really gotta have or you really want gone? Senator Waters?
Well, I asked to be drafted, but maybe we don't need to. It's, House Bill 707 and Senate Bill 227 on the, waste management rules.
If you give me a section number, at least it's easier to look it up.
224 to 227.
All right, 224 to 227.
And Senator Pearl and I have a member, we have acted on both these bills in House Energy. We're holding one, table to be referred so they can come out. And, I think that the larger context is that whatever we have here on the on-site evaluation committee, et cetera, that process will take care of what was envisioned in these bills.
All right, so you're gonna put that on 707, right?
Now, we're gonna take those out. That's gonna be Senator Pearl has that.
You're gonna leave what's in House Bill 2 then, or
Yeah,
modify it?
so we can take these out. That's
No,
okay.
what you want to do, I think, is you want to leave these paragraphs in the section 224 and 227, and you will further modify them.
Yeah, we wanna take out 224 and 227 because the site evaluation is gonna be up in 1718. That's where that work will get done.
Mr. Chair, if I,
Okay, so House Bill,
707 and House
all right,
227.
apparently I'm confused, so.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Mr. Chair, if I can, let me give it a stab. So there's the site evaluation committee section in House Bill 2 that we're gonna work from and modify that.
All right, what section is that?
I'm trying to find
Is
it.
it on this list?
17 to 18.
Seventeen,
Section 17
18.
and 18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So that section we're gonna work on modifying. The sections from, and I don't know where,
224 to 227 is,
okay, those we can remove,
okay.
okay.
These gone.
yes.
So, we need a motion to delete 224 to 227.
Second.
All right. Senator Ennis and Senator Birdsell. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. What else have we got?
Senator Gray?
Yep.
So we had further discussion in Senate Energy today on sections 231 to 240.
Yep.
This deals with a lot of complicated changes to renewable energy that the committee is not, be happy to work on a bill next year, but it's not appropriate for it to be in here. So the committee, and I, Senator Pearl, you were there, but the committee thought that those could come out.
Yes. I'm
Okay,
trying
so-
to get there quickly, sorry.
Senator Waters makes the motion to remove those sections. Senator Pearl seconds.
Yes.
And that is the removal of sections 231 to 240. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Already.
What else have we got?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you want to talk about it this time, but let me just note, and perhaps we do, but on sections 187 to 88, that's on
187 and 188, yes.
Yeah, that's on the Renewable Energy Fund. And Senator Pearl and I have an amendment that will do a couple of things. The House position was to sweep in 2025 the remaining funds in the Renewable Energy Fund. And retain in there what is needed to deal with the tail of projects that have been authorized and funding is promised, and they come back for their reimbursement when the money is spent. Then, in the 2 budget years, it proposed kind of basically eliminating the fund and continuing that sweep. And except for some funds that would be used to support administrative duties and particularly the newly configured Office of Energy Innovation, which is the nuclear and other things. What Senator Pearl in my amendment proposes, and we do have a copy of it, but I think maybe this is for further discussion, is that we say that fund, in fact, would have up to $5 million, that the first take on that in each year would be to support the Department of Energy's needs in terms of the office, the personnel in the Office of Energy and Innovation, and then projects, new projects that might come in through the Renewable Energy Fund. This is the community solar, it's the other programs that we fund and help our schools and school districts and housing and so on and so forth. The fund derives about $2 to $7 million a year. So in some years, one year it could be that just $2 million that comes into it, and so the Department of Energy's costs would take care of, and it'd be a little bit of money for projects. In other years, if it brings in 7, then some projects would be funded, but anything over $5 million is going to go into the general fund. So it basically, I think, gets as much as we can out of that fund into the general fund for this year to help with the deficit. And then in the outgoing years, I think there's a lot of interest that we maintain at least a small program through the Renewable Energy Fund, because that's what the purpose was. It's very successful. It helps out a lot of our communities. So I don't know if you want to deal with it today, but I just wanted to, that's the other one here that we have an amendment on.
Probably not today, I think, is what I'm going to hear.
Just so the committee knows that we do have that amendment, and it would be presented as part of the Department of Energy's recap packet. As all the amendments that we are gathering from the various members on the committee, as they relate to a particular agency, we included in that recap. Senator Waters did a good job explaining to you as to what the amendment does. We can bring it in if you want to see it today, but our intention would be to put it in the packet so it's done all at the same time in case there's other similar types of amendments.
No, I don't need to do it today, and you can stay, or somebody can stay up here.
I'll stay.
Any one of these that's going to be in a different packet. I just want the reference back to this bill, that it's on that list there. So what I'm going to mark on this one is DOE packet.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
I just want to jump in. The section that you're speaking to, Senator Waters, for adjusting where that $5 million, that will be actually section 186 of HB2.
Yeah.
This 187 to 188, that is for the amount that's outside the biennium. To delete, that would go back to the ratepayers and doesn't impact the general fund.
That's still, yeah.
Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to
And
bring up today because
186
we
isn't on this list.
Yeah,
So
and I just want to bring up today because we had discussed it in Energy, and the Energy Committee was expressing its support for what Senator Pearl and I had
but 187 and 188 will be
deleted.
part of the DOE packet.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Chris to nod his head.
That's correct.
Okay?
Thank you.
So let's start down through the top of this thing. Section 12. Anybody want to talk about that? Or is it going to be in one of the packets that I see later? Don't know. All right. Water management and projects.
Community protection.
Chris, I can
Protection,
speak to that
excuse
if you want to see. Senator Gray,
So-
this is section 12. We don't have anything added on DES at this point, but we can add it if you'd like. What the House did in their budget was to adopt the exact language compared to what the governor had in her budget. concerning terrain alterations. So what is in the House is exactly what is in the Senate's SB 110
Yeah.
for Section 12 of HB 2.
And the House is holding that, right? No?
The status says House Ways and Means.
Mr. Chair, I think you want to leave that in.
I'll hold it for right now, yeah. Okay, section 19. Education freedom accounts. We'll talk that when we go DOE.
Can I make,
Yeah,
just a reminder, looking up, Senate Bill 110 has a price tag of revenue coming in. So is this a, increase to the revenue?
Yeah, it's restricted, yes, yep. And it's been accounted for in the surplus statement.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a fee increase,
Yeah.
and this was a negotiation that occurred
It's good, yeah.
in energy with basically the people that are paying these. So it was agreed to. That's why I said you want to keep it here.
Okay. Got it.
moving on to 60 to 68.
I think that's something you're going to address when you deal with with Lottery Commission.
Yeah. $99. We'll do it when we get to HHS.
We don't have any requests to do anything with that at this moment.
We might.
And that's true for all the sections. I think that
Just,
until the committee acts on it, one way or the other, we may end up with amendments.
is there, oh, this is the prescription,
Yep.
It's your bill.
and
Yeah.
that's the one, the House's version of our bill, my bill, added the ivermectin stuff to it, and the version that's in House Bill 2 doesn't have that, right?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Okay.
156. This is a Senate table.
Yes, this is the clean water grants, Buco bucks. And there was, I think, $30 million appropriated last budget for this coming budget. Plus Senator Ricciardi filed a bill for $30 million. I'm looking at an amendment for a way smaller amount that would allow for just some new projects.
And how much money is in the House Section 156?
So it's 15 million per year, so 30 million over the biennium. But the governor put this in her budget to repeal that 30 million that was in appropriation in the last budget moving forward. So this saves the general fund 30 million with keeping this section in. If you delete this section, it will cost 30 million unless there's an amendment to reduce the amount.
Okay. Moving on. I think the next one I've got is 252. Hampton Beach Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
if I may, this one has it looks like a $10,000 appropriation.
What the,
Am I correct?
I can speak to that if you'd like. When the House put it into the budget, they removed the appropriation. So they basically kept the language. They modified it a little bit, but they did remove the appropriation. So it's strictly policy and no dollars.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have it as introduced.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Underwater.
I think this, when it all was said and done, is just allowing the Hampton Beach Commission to do some things that aren't, under their authority. So I think it's a kind of
inconsequential.
Okay. Moving on to section 309, 316.
We don't have anything related to those sections at this time.
And the House retained it. 317, 323.
Again, we don't have anything on that.
Yeah, the House modified, I think in the original bill, there was an appropriation. The House took out the appropriation and just put in the language to do the Partners in Housing Fund and attach it to the Housing Champions Fund, but there's no dollars associated with it.
324 to 328.
No dollars are associated with that one either.
329 to 334.
So this is your determination of adequate education grants. I would probably suggest holding off on this one until you get to the Department of Education.
All right. 350, 351. Thunder.
Thank you. I'd like to delete this section as an unfunded mandate for an unidentified problem. I think we we have to be really careful about putting more work on local election officials.
Non-residents who establish a residency in the state centralized voter registration database. Is this the one that changes the tuition from non-resident to resident?
I don't believe so. I think this has to do with reporting to the Department of Safety. But we can work with you offline to get a better handle on this one. But there was no money in the budget associated with this. It passed the House, went to House Finance. Finance retained the bill and just put the policy language in House Bill 2.
So, Senator, if we hold on this one for at least a little while,
Yep.
instead of taking up your motion,
Yep.
because the bill that we've retained in Senate Election Law and Municipal Affairs says that any student that registers to vote in New Hampshire will now be considered a New Hampshire resident and gets them in-state tuition. And those are the same people who don't want students voting in the state. And I says, well, if you give me a $7,000 incentive
Yeah, really.
to be a citizen of New Hampshire for my 2 or 3 years, then it seems you're a little cross purposes, but it's neither
Thank
here nor
you.
there.
I'm fine to hold it. I don't believe this bill has anything to do with tuition, though.
Well,
It's a separate bill.
I'm gonna go back and reread that section. You know, sometimes, people use House Bill 2 as a sleeping pill.
Yes.
Some of you out there at least laughed at that one. I mean, you know, I'm doing my best here. 377, 378.
I think you'd want to hold on that until you deal with the education.
Yep, DOE.
Right.
All right, 385.
DOE, Department of Education, or Department of?
Department of Education, I'm sorry.
No, but he's saying DOE for Department of Energy too.
Hey, I'm
Sorry.
I'm trainable at least in short things. 385.
Our office doesn't have anything related to that. at this point in terms of removing or amending what's in House Bill 2.
385, that's the payments and reimbursement of the funds to the counties. And that's,
That's a lot of money.
well, it's money that the state received and according with our agreement should have reimbursed the counties for nursing home stuff and we didn't, and I'll let you talk.
Right, so in fiscal 20 and 21, as a result of federal COVID-era legislation, there was an enhanced federal match for Medicaid services, including the long-term care services funded by the counties. At the time, the state was under no obligation to pass along that enhanced federal match to the counties. We are now, but this would pass along to them the amount that they would have gotten under the current arrangement in 20 and 21. So that's a total of $22.5 million, which these sections would spread out over 4 years.
Okay? Senator?
Thank you. So as I recall from when the department came in, the effect was actually to reduce the county obligation a little bit in 26 and either hold it flat or go up just a little bit in 27.
Between the two sections combined, yes, there's this, which is a benefit to the counties, and then there's a separate section that deals with the county cap, which would go up by 3% year over year. So the net benefit of the two the net result of the two is a small benefit to the counties over the biennium, and I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I can find it for you. This benefit is $22 million over a 4-year period. There's a cost to the counties of increasing the cap by 3%, so there's a net benefit to the counties, but I need to look up that figure.
Okay. Moving down to section 415. Senator.
Thank you. I would like to remove this section. I mean, we've basically already dealt with it in Senate Bill 34. And I'm concerned about enforcement and measurement because requiring a written parental consent for each medical service of an IEP that was already consented to by the parents, it would be a big administrative burden on schools. And there was testimony in committee about this. It would also be a burden on families who are already consenting and involved. If the schools are unable to track down written consent for each service that already was consented to during the IEP process. I'm concerned that this could impact Medicaid funding that would be available to schools, and it might mean that schools would have to cut back on services.
What is the current status of Senate Bill 34?
So Senator, I think House Ed Policy has retained that bill.
All right. So this one needs to stay on hold until we have some discussions about it. And that's the bottom of that list. Okay, now, Senate retained bills. I'm told that the list is in someone's hand right now. You want to do the same thing we did on these, to go through those?
These would be Senate tabled bills
Correct, Senate table.
with general fund appropriations, not all table bills.
Excuse me. All right, let's at least take a look at the list. And so this will be updated for the actions that we've taken today, at least the discussions. And if it's going to be part of a department conversation, note that, and we won't go over it again until the departments come in.
That's correct, Senator. Our intention, if you recall, we gave out a long sheet that had basically all the House Bill 2 sections listed. It provided a list of the bills that might be attached to those sections, as well as a potential fiscal impact. We'll go and we'll mark out, shade out the rows that would reflect changes that you've done here. So if you deleted it or you've accepted it to keep it, we'll note it that you've acted on that.
And if you could
And we will,
also do this one too, because
we will keep that updated as well.
the other one is a lot harder to use. All right, so in front of you now,
So the document that just was handed out to you, the front page are bills that are currently, they're not table bills, but they're bills that have gone to either the House or in the Senate policy committees. And just to give you a sense of what's going on with those, just note that on House Bill 763, it says $80,000. It's on your, this Thursday's session day, and you're going to make a dollar appropriation there and move the $80,000 each year. So again, that was just so you could see what's happening with bills that are actually moving through. When you flip to page 2, that's the start of the table bills. And you'll see that, we'll take the tabled bill, House Bill 159, the first row there. You'll see there's a dollar appropriation in fiscal year 2025. Again, these are only bills that have a general fund impact. If it's an open warrant, you'll see that it just says open under fiscal impact. So under House Bill 581, you see that in fiscal year 25, it's an open warrant. So they can get whatever appropriation they need to make that work.
so because, especially the ones down at the bottom of the list, are appropriations that we would have to make further cuts somewhere else in the budget to do them. I'm not inclined to push any of these forward. Senator Waters.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I point out one in particular that I hope we can pay some
That's what this discussion is all
attention to?
about.
So Senate Bill 59, as you may recall, had a $100,000 appropriation to the police standards and training, but the policy part of the bill on the existing program for recruitment and retention was going to let dispatchers, as well as the EMTs and the police and fire. And we're going to add a dispatcher to the council that overviews the program, so they get the tuition at the community college. And is also going to let participants in the program take non-credit as well as credit courses. So the policy was, it was consequential, but not controversial. Why it was tabled was, and I was not here the day, I was interested in a bill and you had put the motion to table, and we went to the floor and I argued, let's not table it, I'll have the amendment and we'll take out the money and we'll send it over to the House, and that did not succeed. I
Yes.
have a version now for HB2 that will just do the policy, no money, and if we don't add it to HB2, then the bill, we need to do these changes, and there's no other vehicle at this point to do that.
And so amendment will come in when we do that.
When you do CCS and H, you'll see an amendment for this bill.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are you intending to act on any of these today, or just that's your inclination right
I'm
now?
trying to at least start the
Yeah,
discussion.
okay, all right. There's a
There
couple
are,
on here that I may want to talk about. I just don't know if we're ready to do it today or not, but,
just looking down through the list, when you got Senate Bill 81 that spends 35 million, you got Senate Bill 113 that spends 30 million. Again, if you're going to add these in, then you got to find the savings somewhere. And those, with the severe cuts that were in the budget to begin with,
understood.
finding additional places is.
Well, there's one, Senate Bill 239, dealing with fish and game is one we're gonna have to think about. You think we're all good with that now?
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I think, Senator Pearl, the amendment you have that does the things that were requested by
Yeah.
Fish and Game, I think at this
That-
point,
that'll address enough?
this one becomes moot.
Okay.
I really don't think we can, I mean, I don't think we can justify trying to fund this at this point. I think we've helped the department out in some good ways, and we can consider in the next budget, we'll have to revisit their budget. But
So, unless one of you come forward with these bills, you know, that they're gonna sit there,
Thank you. I think there will be amendments proposed on some of these for smaller amounts of money. But I wanted to say, as a member of Ways and Means, that we did add $300 million in revenues for this fiscal year and the next two. So we didn't propose static revenues for the House. So as the Senate always has some more flexibility, I think we probably will have to. I also would say that there are a couple of bills here. One is the Office of Public Guardian, which would increase Met revenues by moving people around more swiftly. And the other one is Senate Bill 131, long-term care eligibility and provisional eligibility provision, the positions. So some of these might actually bring some revenue with them.
and so I guess if any of these are gonna be brought forward for you guys, that you will go to LBA and you will get it added to the proper packet or brought forward as a separate bill. But unless there's something else in here, there was Senate Bill 273, I think it was, that they told me was a zero cost one.
Let's see.
I'll go.
But that's not on this
I'll go
list.
figure out which bill it was. And again, same thing applies to me. If I want to bring anything forward, I'm gonna have to go to LBA, I'm gonna have to have the amendment written to bring it forward. So that list is there, that list is what you've got, but I'm not gonna deal with that list again, in this format. And, each individual senator will have to decide what they're gonna bring forward, and then it will get discussed at the meeting that way.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I think we're well aware that, and we had well aware of the things that we need to bring forward. I mean, we had talked about last week, I think, putting our list together, and I've already started having Kate work on some of the amendments that we will, when they're completed, will be given to LBA. And I'm trying to look at the ones that are not cost prohibitive, but I'm sure we're all working on it.
Okay. Back to page 1, all right? Stuff that's in the accessible voting machines, the reason that's a zero across the line is because that's gonna be paid for by HAVA money through the secretary. So I do know about that one. Does anybody else want to make any comments on any of the other ones that are in there? Okay. Everybody's thinking, I think. All right, any other comments for today? There'll be a brand new packet. Next meeting is Friday. That'll give them a little more time. And we'll go from there. Yep.
We got some bills off the floor last week. Are we gonna accept them?
Do I have
Friday?
that list here in front of me?
We took 2 from the floor last week, and when we exec last Friday, we held on 2. And I just haven't decided
Oh.
with Senator Gray when we're gonna exec them out.
Okay.
Friday. How's that? Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. So there will, I think there's gonna be an addendum for the next calendar too. Because we want to get everything on the calendar for the 22nd. And there's a couple of bills that I took this time too, so. We'll see what the final votes are on Thursday, and hopefully,
I don't know if they're amended, if they can be turned around in time for the meeting on Friday afternoon. We'll do the 4 that we have right now in committee to exec.
and then after Friday, are we meeting Monday and Tuesday? So we will, Monday or Tuesday, we'll finish up any of the others, so they can get in the addendum to go on the floor on the 22nd. Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion to come out of executive session? I have a motion and a second to come out of executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Our business of the day being complete, we are adjourned.